Urmila, that you are one of the very few rare child actors who made it as a superstar. Did you really enjoy acting as a child? It's some memories of those days. And
No,
were you prepared for this kind of stardom?
I tremendously enjoyed acting ever since I remember anything. I
Mm,
mean, I
yes.
remember reading and acting being a part of my earliest childhood, to be honest. I
Gee.
remember being on stage ever since I remember anything at all. So,
Huh.
be it elocution competitions, be
Yes.
it, school plays or
Hmm.
dancing or whatever.
Yes.
And I was an extremely, extremely introvert child. I was
Ah.
so introvert that if somebody spoke loudly to me also, I would
Gee.
not be able to take it. I was that
Hmm.
introvert. I
Yes.
think the only time I came into my own was when I was on stage,
Really?
when I was performing.
Hmm.
And this is something when I look back, I remember so many such incidents.
Yeah.
So much so that the first time when I was sent to meet Miss Dr. Lagu, who was my first director in
Yes.
Marathi film,
Yes.
the film I debuted in on silver screen with.
Yeah. Zabon, no?
I Zakol,
Zakul, huh?
Zakol.
Okay. Huh.
So for that also, when I'd gone to meet Sulba Deshpande ji, who was
Hmm.
sending child artists to him,
Hmm.
children basically, because she had a children's institute.
Yes.
So when she asked me my name, I mumbled it with my head almost into my knees, so down.
Oh.
And then she said, I can't hear you. What is your name? Can you tell me your name properly? And she spoke that loudly.
Huh.
I just had the big, big tears rolling down my eyes, and I couldn't
Oh.
look up, and I wanted to run away from there.
Yeah.
And she just turned around to the gentleman who was my dad's friend, who
Huh.
had gotten me to meet her,
Hmm.
and she said that she's not even able to tell me the name.
Huh.
What will she speak in front of Dr. Saab? And Dr. Lagu was then also a very
Yes.
big name to
Yes.
be reckoned with.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I mean, I also as a child, I kind of didn't fully know of him, but knew of him types.
Gee.
So anyway, they said now that she's here, send him anyway.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I was that shy. But
Yeah.
having said that, I was there in the first place because in my school competition,
Yes.
play competition,
Hmm.
one of the girls didn't turn up who was playing, my co-star didn't turn up.
Hmm.
And so I have played her role and my role
Oh.
together
Oh.
for that in that play.
Particularly,
I mean,
huh?
yeah, I very meekly had suggested it to my
Hmm.
teacher, and that's how
Hmm.
they said, okay, let's give it a try because we're already here, and the school will lose face if we
Yeah.
don't
Hmm.
perform. So that's how. So my father had mentioned it to it. So what I'm trying to say is that when it was all about performing and being on stage and acting and any part of that, I kind of came really alive and, something that I tremendously enjoyed right from the very beginning that I remember. My
Yes.
father and my grandfather were both actors of a
Acha.
sort, not
Hmm.
professional. Like my
Hmm. Hmm.
grandfather has played, I've seen him playing Shivaji and all of that.
Ji.
My dad did more of experimental theater,
Acha.
but then because of his family responsibilities and all of
Hmm.
that,
Hmm.
he
Hmm.
couldn't really continue
Yes.
further. So
Hmm. Hmm.
basically, I mean, I was always encouraged to, do whatever I want, but never
Yes.
forced to
Yes.
do anything.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then the first movie happened, and
Yes.
I think the greatest part of my childhood that is that. So basically, if I was one of the rare few who kind of made it even as a
Hmm.
grown up, I
Yes.
give the credit entirely to my upbringing
Hmm.
and to the kind of childhood I had. So
Acha.
thereafter, my parents never treated the whole thing as, like they never gave me a special treatment. They never treated me as a child actor, child star, or whatever
Hmm.
they're called.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
They gave us a very, very normal, academic
Upbringing.
oriented, education oriented childhood
Acha.
by which the tremendous insistence on education was given,
Yes.
tremendous importance, and so it
Yes.
was like okay, and this was like my hobby. So it was
Hmm.
kept like a hobby, not like a I wasn't suddenly the star in the family or
Yes.
anything of that sort. I was
Hmm.
constantly told that you need to finish your studies in the best manner. This can be your hobby.
Yes.
So basically, yes, and I continued doing it. In my school days, etc., and all of that. So then thereafter, Masoom happened and all of that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
even eventually, when I was kind of venturing as a as a leading lady,
Hmm.
then also I was told that, you, because I was an exceptional student. I had 86% in my 10th
Oh,
standard. Then
really?
in 12th standard, I was, I had distinction. I have had distinction all throughout my college career. And I was also one of the most studious colleges in Mumbai I went to, called Ruparel College. So
Acha, yes.
it was that kind of upbringing. So what
Hmm.
happens is that at a very early onset in life, you realize that all these things are not really the be all and end all of
Correct,
life.
correct, correct.
So, but they make your life beautiful. Like I would have
Yes,
been as good had I taken any other profession,
yes.
but I wouldn't have been half as happy as I became, because I became an actress and I could pursue
Hmm.
my career, and I got tremendously successful in it.
Yes,
So, yeah, so I think I would look at it from that perspective.
yes, correct. That's what I have observed about you also, which I'll ask later. You know, there are some things which set you apart, which I'll come to later. Even in Masum was a very good ground for you because as a child actor, you underplayed, you were very innocent, beautiful, and you worked with the best setup. So I think that was a great push for you as an actor also.
Oh, tremendously! I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, with
Because
Shekhar
to
Kapoor.
have a director who
Yeah.
had a vision of children in cinema like that,
Yes.
who actually treated them like children
Yes.
and not some half-cracked, semi-grown, whatever,
Yes.
was a big breath of fresh air. So if you look
Yes.
at Masum even today,
Yes.
even I would dare say that even today the children in Masum
Yes.
are look apart from the rest of the, there are so many children in so many
Absolutely.
movies thereafter, but they really look, I mean, where do you have children like that in houses?
Yes.
But
Yes.
here were the children who looked real, who were real, their fights were real, their
Yes.
love was real.
Yes.
So that itself was great. And then to have stalwarts like Shabana Azmi and Nazaruddin Shah in front of you
Yes.
was just tremendously awesome,
Yes.
I mean,
Awesome.
even as a child. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a learning experience, blah, 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 because I was
Hmm.
too young.
Yes.
And, most of the times also worried about missing school
Huh.
because we were in Delhi for a couple of months. Of course, we had taken special permission from school, etc.
Yes.
So basically, but yes, unknowingly, that was an amazing
Hmm.
experience, a great,
Hmm.
like you said, to put things in the right manner at a very early
Early
stage in my
age.
life.
Yes.
That it certainly did. Yes, it
Yeah.
would. You can
Very
say that.
well said. Very well said. Even Narsimha, when you burst, as a leading Hindi lady, and it worked very well. The first film itself, like you were like a complete package. You could act, you looked lovely, you could dance. So you really didn't have any struggle as such, right, Urmila?
No, the struggle is a good word. It's a beautiful word, which is often kind of abused these days.
Yes.
In the
Yes.
sense that struggle is a part of life in general, an integral part of life.
Huh.
But struggle is made out to be God knows what. So yes, I had a huge struggle because again, I was still as introvert. I had never
Huh.
gone to anyone's office with my pictures. I
Hmm.
had almost given up the thought that I'll ever become an actor, because
Acha.
how will the world know that I want to become an actor? What do I look like? What do I whatever? I had no parents in film industry, or not even the longest, meaning if you search with a microscope also you couldn't figure out any connection with film industry. I have come from that
Yes. Yes.
simple middle class
Yes.
background.
Yes.
So there was no chance in hell that I would get anywhere, let alone being a leading lady.
Correct.
But destiny played its part, and I happened to get my role by mistake and by chance, literally, because the girl who was playing my role
Huh.
had a fracture in her foot, poor thing.
Acha.
And the set was already erected, and the song was supposed to be shot on me, which is the climax song
Hmm. Hmm.
of the film, which is
Hmm.
essentially on me with 500 junior artists, and
Yes. Yes.
again, big stars like Sunny Deol, Dimple Kapadia, Om
Yes.
Puri, all of them,
Yes.
just being spectators, and me dancing and singing and defying the whole thing.
Yes.
So imagine from being a college going not teenager, but like a whatever, to straight away going into a
Yes.
full-fledged whatever. It was like, and I have never taken formal training in dancing,
Hmm.
which I was extremely honest about to the makers.
Yes.
And so overnight one was just whatever. But what was difficult prior to that is
Hmm.
being told off that one would never make it because one had nobody and one was whatever. And that telling off often comes as a because people care for you, they're trying to put you off, they're trying to whatever. So
Yes.
that is endless.
Yes.
And thereafter also the struggle never ends, the struggle goes on till now.
Hmm.
Because you are in a line of work where there are a lot of people being pushed in lots of ways, and the
Yes.
media in the 90s was the most ruthless, I would say,
Yeah.
because there
Yeah.
was no social media. So the only way for the stars to get through to the audience was the media,
Yes.
and they completely whatever it. So I
Hmm.
had no support, I had nobody.
Huh.
So it was tremendously difficult after. Today you think I was a package, but the
Yes.
way I was, well, in a inverted commas, trolled by the media then for making faces, for not knowing this, for not knowing that, for da 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 da
Huh.
da, was
Huh.
endless because I didn't have that big surname next to me, and
Correct.
that continued for a pretty long time, for good three
Yes.
four years till
Yes.
Rangila happened,
Yes.
and because it was such a massive hit, and
Yes.
post Rangila also
Yes.
people somehow took it for granted that everything I did in Rangila was all about, again, in inverted commas, sex appeal and had nothing to do with acting.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
don't understand how those songs, how those whatevers, etc., can happen
Yes.
without a person being a performer.
Correct. Correct.
How can
Yeah.
a high Rama happen? Matlab, are they trying to tell me that when only a woman is, tear-jerking scene and
Hmm.
telling
Hmm. Hmm.
something to the father and mother and all, is that acting, or is and high Rama not acting? What were they trying to get to?
Yeah.
I don't know. But if
And
you
and
go
if you're
back,
not, you can't be sexy. You can't pretend to be sexy. To be sexy, also you need to act.
Exactly. That is something that was not understood only. That the
Yeah.
fact that this girl next door, literally, who then transforms in each song of the film as something else,
Hmm.
is only acting, is something that the movie pundits didn't realize. So that
Acha.
was that, and that was fine, and that continued for a very long time. The
But
constant. I must be the only actress in Hindi cinema who,
hmm.
after giving such a big hit, and after being such a big part of that hit, it was not
Hmm.
like I was playing a Miss Nothing in that film.
Yes.
But in spite of that, let alone the awards, I didn't even have a decent word written about me.
Yeah.
So that was again, like I said, I'll go down history for being the only actor in those shoes.
Do you feel this was because you didn't belong to a famous film family, or
Largely, yes. What
yes.
else can I,
Okay,
whatever it
yeah.
do?
But
Because the girls who had given 13 flops were being written about. The girls who had faces of men who couldn't, I mean, till date, some of them, I mean, after the interview is over, I'll be happy to tell you the names also, the detail. The who couldn't, who look like boys, they said, and who could, who had absolutely know nothing as a woman, but, and did all double meaning songs with their heroes,
huh,
but they were all big names, so they were actors suddenly. But I
yes,
wasn't an actor, so I was like, you know what, that's okay. It is what it is. I can't be whatever with all this, because I, for me, acting honestly, I know going to sound a little whatever,
yes,
was to be in front of camera was something of a spiritual thing of a sort.
yes,
To have Asha Bhosle's voice, to have Lata Mangeshkar singing for me, to
yes.
have camera in front of me, to be able to do so many things,
Hmm.
it was by itself a victory for me, and I was just gloating in the glory of being in front of camera, that I didn't need any other word or award.
Correct,
But
correct.
today, looking back at it, I would say to all the youngsters that yes, it's a damn tough line, and if you're not made of a tougher stuff, don't get into it.
Yeah,
Simple.
very well said. Very well said. In fact, Urmila, Rangila is a cult film today. That was the benchmark people followed
Yes,
for perfect launches.
and the beauty is that every heroine I know for a fact, and every maker was saying, make clothes like her, make her look like her,
Yes,
to the extent where heroine had to look beautiful also in one of the biggest blockbuster.
yes,
She is imitating me for for the hero to realize that, oh, she's so beautiful. So she's imitating Urmila from Rangila for
yes.
the hero to realize. Well, you won't remember the movie, but I do. So it
Yeah,
was, but what the joke is on them, not on me,
correct.
because I had my own glory, I had my great times, and honestly, I'm not made of such petty stuff. So thank God for that. That
Yeah,
it didn't.
yes, yes.
I mean, it did upset me at times at that time,
Huh.
But looking back at it, I'm like, you know what, it's going to continue like that, so it's not
Yes,
going to
yes,
change. So
yes.
that way.
No, and for Rangila, I read the reviews also, and once even Ram Gopal Verma mentioned that it was an ode to your beauty, to your face, to your figure, and it created a benchmark as a sex symbol, with the correct elements. How do you view that?
I think that time
You were
also
his
I had,
muse then.
if you take out my interviews from 20 years ago till date, I have said the same things. That basically sex appeal is a beautiful and integral part of every woman.
Correct.
It does not necessarily come from her hair or her lipstick or her saris or what she's wearing.
Hmm.
It could come from what she's speaking, from her personality,
Hmm.
from her just the way she is.
Is.
And it is like that's why I said most integral and beautiful, but sometimes misunderstood part. It
Yes.
is not something that is separate कि वो garam masala निकालो और डालो खाने में. It is not something like that. But
Yes.
it was, I think, way before its time that Indian cinema and people were introduced to something like that.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying again and again. Why Rangila stands out,
Huh.
even though there are women who have done 50 times more exposure, unneeded exposure in
Yes.
other films,
Yes.
but nobody speaks of it. And I've not done as much, and it still created, this
Huh.
is because it is a very smart uh, mixture and smart midpoint of both these things, of
Of
where
which of
the
which two things?
of innocence and of beauty which is presented or which is seen in a certain manner. So
Hmm.
that is
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
something, like I said, that is what I'm trying to tell you, that there are so many girls today wearing far lesser clothes than what I have even
Yes.
dreamt of wearing. But it doesn't create half as much because it is not just about that ever. The sex appeal essentially comes from the eyes of a woman.
Yes.
And the actor or the people who are making the films or the actor who is in front of the camera, if they don't understand it, then the whole point is lost. It's always been that simple. I don't know why it has taken people
Yes.
so long to realize
According to
it.
you, where does your sex appeal lie in, if you were to say it briefly?
I would say definitely in my eyes and in my face. If you see any
Hmm.
song even today, if you replay it and
Hmm.
if you see it today, it
Yes.
is the close-ups which hit you more than the long shots.
True.
So it is always the face. It cannot be other way around. Other
Yes.
only other important whatever I would give is of Sri Devi in Kate Nahi Katte or many other songs or
Yes.
many other films that she did.
Yeah.
It was the whole persona that was larger than life that created a sex appeal, not
Yes.
other way around.
True. True. True.
Because
And
the same saris a lot of other actresses wore and did a kate nahi katte, but it didn't create half as much stir. Why?
of course,
Is the question.
yeah, it's your own intrinsic quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And after Rangila, there was no looking back. You did, I mean, the films are so many and such hits, you can't name all of them. But again, Judai Hai, Satya. Satya presented you in a very beautiful way. And that image of you in a sari, rooted, innocence, the complexity. How do you look back at Satya?
Again, for me, first of all, some other actresses, two, three of them were supposed to play the role, not me. I was not even the original choice.
Acha.
But more than wearing the saris and looking certain way, I think the biggest burden as an actor was to look convincing as a girl next door of a chawl
Yes,
from being this huge star that I was at that time.
yes.
Lot of people told me that it was a big, what you call it, risk
Huh.
that I was taking. In fact, they
Yes,
told me that for corn also. They
yes,
told me that. But again, I will again go down in history for being one of the rare actresses to have done so many different genre
yes,
and characters, basically.
absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
post that, I didn't use, there are again actresses of my time who have done, like, let's say they would have done 25 more Rangilas. I didn't.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yes,
there are so many actresses who did just films after films after films with just one actor, and
yes,
then, you wouldn't be able to name their films if you don't know,
yes,
better,
yes.
because they wore the same clothes, went to the Alps and danced religiously till their bones broke, and so, but I didn't do that. From the next movie onwards, in every second movie, I have made a pincher, I have done a
Yes,
booth later, I have done a
yes,
con, I have
yes,
done.
yes,
For me, the whole stardom was never about, and like I said, I gave little or no heed to whatever was written about me, which was a non-stop nonsense.
yes, yes. I'll come to that point also about this,
But I
not
used it,
repeating.
I
Mhm.
just wanted to use my stardom to explore more and more as what I could do.
Yeah,
So the whole competition was against myself as what
very
all I
true.
could do and how well I could lap it up and give my best
Right.
to whatever God and my audiences have given to me.
Yes, yes,
So what happens is today when they look at and when I remind them of this film or that film in my interview when the film name starts,
yes, yes,
they become like, oh my God, oh yeah, this also, that also. And
yes,
then they, after the interview is over,
yes,
are sitting and thinking, why was she not so written about? But those questions eventually need to be asked to,
yes.
like I said, to the greatest of the movie pundits of that time.
Yes, yes. No, I agree totally. And Urmila, even with thrillers, then you moved on to the Con, Bhoot, Ek Hasina Thi. I mean, you established yourself in that genre also. You explored lovely opportunities there. And Pyar Tune Kya Kiya was another gem.
Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
So,
But the beauty is,
huh,
again, Pyar Tune Kya Kiya. Well, go on archives and see who got the awards on that year also. It
yeah,
is a joke. The awards have been a joke throughout my career. Not because I didn't get it, because of
yes,
who all got it most of the times.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
I mean, again, but again, I'm deeply what you call it. I have deep gratitude towards the makers and that I got to play a role like that and I could give it my best because Firoz Khan Saab, for example, had told me at that time that you made me cry in that last scene
Yes.
and I don't like crying in his own typical
Oh
manner and
my
I was
God,
like,
so beautiful.
I had goosebumps. I had Amit writing a note to me post booth. I have
Huh.
written his letter with a beautiful golden Ganpati for me, and I have people from all over the world stopping me at airports, at restaurants, here,
Yes,
there,
yes.
and having a kind of look in their eyes for those roles that I've done. You
Hmm.
have no idea how many people have told me about Ek Hasina Thi. I mean, unfortunately, it was not as big a box office hit as it should have been or could have been.
Mm-hmm.
But what stays important is that it was a movie again ahead of its time. It was a role ahead of its time,
Hmm.
and it was made with so much restraint
Yes.
that I dare. I mean, I think I dare say that very few actors can underplay it to that an extent and still create a. I remember Anil ji telling me throughout Judai,
Huh.
Urmila, tu underplay kar rahi hai, I understand, but don't do it so much. You're to not doing only anything. You're to not doing on. And he was a much senior actor, a fantastic actor, and my
जी,
co-star.
जी,
And I did get it when he was trying to tell me, but I had my own whatever in my mind graph
yes.
that I was trying to follow, that I wanted to follow.
Yeah, but it was
So
lovely, huh? Your Judai was
yeah, because
beautiful.
I felt there was just no other way to approach that character than that. And
Yes.
so anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the whole thought towards that was, maybe I would have been known as a more successful actress
Hmm.
if I would have done 20. But then again, I wouldn't have been because then again the critics would have still written that oh she was like a one more Rangila she has done 50 times over, which was not written about my co-stars
Yes, yes.
the other actresses. But anyway, like I said, it's a thing of a past, so one doesn't want to dwell in it. I'm happy that I made the most of it, and then slowly that's why I got completely cut off from the media to a large extent because
Hmm.
I felt that I cannot let them rule my life and career.
Hmm.
If my critic has woken up from the wrong side of the bed and writes even particularly worse about me, bad though they also wrote,
Huh.
I'm not going to sit and, mope and think that I'm worth nothing.
No.
So I'm going to take charge of my own life, make those decisions and give it my best.
Yes, of course.
All my filmmakers have, come back with, some of them have worked again, some of them didn't work out, but they've come back to me with their next projects. They have, we have had I don't remember having any tension or problem working with any co-star or any makers that I worked
Yes.
with
Mm.
simply because it was just a great, amazing working environment that I like to work with. I worked with people who I thought would give me that environment and vice versa.
Yes. But I wanted to ask you about Pyar Tune Kya Kiya. You played the obsessed lover. Have you experienced this kind of love? I mean, somebody, some uh, crazy fan obsessed with you, or did you ever go through an obsessive relationship ever?
I would say that not really. I've heard a lot of stories,
Huh.
and I've had people really like. I have these sites, I mean, I think I must have been the earliest actress to have Urmila Matondkar fan club, which I didn't know of because I wasn't on social media for the longest time.
Yes.
I'm on social media only since last 3 4 years.
Yes.
Because I'm such a private person, I have no interest in being on social media.
Yes.
So, but they were there, and other people used to tell me about it. That there's a fan club of yours. They follow you religiously. They write, all of
Huh.
that.
Huh.
So that's been great, but not really an obsessive kind of a thing.
No
I think.
stalker,
No, no,
a
but I
crazy
think
fan.
no, not stalking
No.
types really.
No. Okay, good, good. Okay. And Ram Gopal Varma's best, I would say his best phase was with you. And
Hmm.
you also gave a bouquet of films with him. What was the synergy like? I mean, what made it tick?
I think, what do you call it? Quest for doing something new to the bestest of our capabilities.
Acha.
But therefore, each and every film was definitely like when you look back at it, looks like almost like a benchmark of a
Yes,
sort.
yes.
So basically, honestly, it is just that, uh, doing it to the bestest of your capabilities, to the point that a lot of those films are really before its time, like even a Dor,
Yes.
which has this crazy comedy and a crazy kind of
Hmm.
this of both comedy and romance and thriller kind of this,
Yes.
or whether it is a con or all of them.
Yes.
So I think honestly a
Hmm.
constant quest of doing something new and something that was unexplored.
Between both of you.
Yeah.
Drohi also was very good.
Yes, though he was something that we started with.
Huh.
So that was the first film,
Yes.
and I think though it had a, I mean, if you look at it in the detail and the depths of it, it was beautiful. But I
Yes.
think I felt at that time that it was a bit too dark for the
Acha.
audiences,
Huh.
probably,
Yes. Huh.
So that's but because I was too young and too, not sure of what to make out of it. But
Yes.
probably it was that.
Yes, yes. And even in Satya, did you get compliments for your look? Because you were presented very beautifully in
No,
those
I get
saris.
compliments for Satya till date, actually.
Yeah, very
But
true.
again, I got a compliment from Shobha Day also, which was quite worth. And she said, she had met me at a party and she said, Urmila, there's so many people who can do a Satya, but there's only one Urmila who can do a Rangila. And I'm
Ve-
saying this when all those actresses are wearing those same frocks that you wore and they're frolicking around
Very
and they're
true.
not making half as impact. You know how she talks.
Yes.
So I was like, and at that time,
It's a lovely thing that you have shared.
it was just an amazing way of looking at it. And
Yes.
it took me a little while to understand because I was on this vendetta of just proving to this sad critics who shouldn't
Uh,
be even called critics, who I don't know on what basis, because they are all this one uncle and that one, and for me it was just like a completely new world that I had stepped into with absolutely no clue of where I was going. So,
yes.
anyways, but so I was busy doing these different films, but it was such a beautiful and unique way of looking at it all.
Correct.
Because if you look at those at that time, there's not a single actress of that time who hasn't worn the identical outfit, colored her hair identically like me,
Yes.
and danced on screen. So,
Yes.
what else is there for me to prove a point?
Of course, of course. You meant the critics were their uncles, the other actresses. That's what you meant.
Yeah, they were called that because then their fathers, mothers,
Ach-
everyone knew them for years. Everyone was their
Okay.
pal or
Okay.
uncle or someone or
Okay.
someone.
Yes.
Whereas for me, it was like with a great whatever, I would look at these people also
Huh.
who I don't think deserved much respect
Yes.
looking at hindsight.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And one I think I missed that Narasimha. Do you want to name the actress who was supposed to play the role, which finally came to you?
So basically, originally Aisha Zulka was casted.
Acha. I can
Then there
mention.
was Raj Kaur was casted. This,
Acha.
Raj Kaur, Rajeshwari, she is also
Huh.
called as.
Huh.
So they were both. So Aisha Zulka and the maker had some fallout, and Raj Kaur, poor thing, she had a ligament
Okay.
fracture
Okay.
at
Okay.
that time.
Okay.
So
Okay, okay. See, one thing remarkable about Urmila, you that I have noticed is that you never piggybacked on the Khans. You were not obsessed with just doing films with them and being the glamour doll. You kept on working with different actors, different subjects, different filmmakers, newcomers, everything. So that shows a strength of personality. Didn't you ever feel insecure? I'm taking too many risks.
No, I definitely would say one of the biggest regrets is not being able to work with Shah Rukh Khan as much as I would have loved to,
Huh?
or work with Amir again in all probability.
Yes,
Only because I respect them tremendously for their craft.
yes.
But probably it didn't happen. It was not like a deliberate decision or anything to prove any point to anybody. I won't lie.
Huh?
I would have loved to, but it didn't happen. And what sometimes when the opportunities came, like you said, they were not meaty enough to kind
Huh?
of grab and go berserk about it, which
Yes,
did come a couple of times, but it didn't materialize.
yes,
But I would again, I go again in history, which I would like to bring your attention to, for
yes,
being an actress to have worked with most with the first time directors.
yes,
So most of my directors were first timers,
yes,
barring like glaring a few exceptions.
yes.
But all of them, whether it was Sriram Raghavan to
Hmm.
Chandraprakash Dwivedi
Yes,
to Sunny Deol to
yes.
the list is endless.
Endless.
They
Yes,
were all first timers,
yes,
so that was another big, huge list. Rajat Mukherjee,
yes,
director of Pyar To Ne Kya Kiya,
yes.
all of them, like literally 80% of the people I worked with, directors, were all
Hmm.
first timers. But I feel it works both ways. Sometimes the energy with which the director is trying to say something. Like
Yes.
I remember a lot of times going blindly with Sriram's vision,
Hmm.
which sometimes was because see a director sees a top angle of the whole thing, and an actor is more got a bit of a myopic vision in terms of from their character they are seeing the whole thing.
Correct.
So, I remember being going blindly with Sriram's vision, and
Yes,
landing up with such a cult film again
yes,
of Ek Hasina Thi. But
yes.
what I feel also is that a lot of times, not all the time, sometimes it has also boomeranged in my face where I've
Huh.
gotten really bad experiences.
Yes,
But they are, they've got this unique energy and unique, view into things that probably the more whatever settled in filmmakers don't have. But
yes,
again, it wasn't a deliberate attempt.
yes,
I just was greedy for good roles and good projects, so I
yes,
just took them up wherever they could. But yes, it helps tremendously if you have, if I would have had better actors at times, I felt
yes,
as co-actors than
yes,
some of them that I had, maybe the
yes.
whole outcome would have been a little
Different.
different and
Yeah.
better.
Salman, you worked on two films, na? Janam Samjha Karo and something. You didn't work too frequently with Salman also.
No, only in Janam Samjha Karo.
Yeah. Okay. A
Yeah.
word on him because you've spoken of Amir and Shah Rukh. Would you like to
No,
say
he's
something?
he's great, fresh and so good all the time, and he was great fun to work with as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I think the way he just did a U-turn and pulled off a dabang and thereafter another whatever,
Yeah.
I think he's a total entertainer. I mean, there's
Yeah.
just no two way. I have watched some of the Big Boss episodes, if you may please, because of
Yes.
him. Though I
Yeah.
don't watch the show per se, but because
Yeah.
he can be just so entertaining and fun.
Yes. 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 U-turn. You said he took a U-turn and did what? I
A
didn't get
dabang, not a
a
U-turn
dabang.
really, like I would say
Acha.
a bounce back with a dabang and
Yes.
took it to another level.
Yes.
Like when dabang happened, it was just like,
Yes.
oh my
Yes.
God, where did this come from and what
Yes.
happened? And
Yes.
it
Yes.
was like
Yes.
everyone was like, I wouldn't say U-turn, but I would say a
Yes.
bounce
Yes.
back effect types.
Yes, very true. And Urmila, another thing which is really remarkable about you is that at one point of time you just gave it all up, the like glamour goddess, and I mean, you just chose to walk away. You got married and saw the other side of life. Um,
Well,
what?
I wouldn't call it gave it all up really.
Huh?
I would just say that, phases in life come and, I believe in living each phase to its fullest.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's not like I'm not acting anymore or anything. If
Huh?
something good comes in, because I've got such great body of work behind me
Huh?
that I need to feel excited about what
About?
it is that I'm going to do.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
when I got married, also I wanted to enjoy that as well,
Yes.
and so I did that as well. I have never believed that life is just a one track episode.
Yes.
I believe it to be a multifaceted, beautiful. How do I put it?
Yes.
like how I would say like a palm tree goes straight and in one line, and
Yes.
then a people, these other trees kind of are more versatile and they go all way and all over.
Yes.
Like they are just lapping up everything that comes in their
Yes.
way. So I have been a kind of person who wants to explore and enjoy it, everything to its fullest and
Yes.
to its bestest,
Correct.
and that's what I have done so far, and that's what I intend to do hereafter. So films have been, and acting has been the best part of me,
Yes.
and the one that I've enjoyed the most, but that can't be the end of me, and
Yes.
that has never been my whole
Yes.
life,
Yes.
which I've said right at the peak of my career also. So,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was my reading, whether it was my other activities, whatever I used to do at that time,
Hmm.
all of them also were as important to me, but I
Coexisted.
didn't have
Yeah.
time. So
Yes.
I used the rest of the time to do all those other things which were probably pending.
Yes. Yes. And what has marriage added to your life,
Oh, a lot,
Mohsin?
because
Like,
I think uh, one should only get married when A, one is very sure, one B, it's going to kind of take your life and your personality of being to another level.
yes.
Otherwise, I don't think it's not like an absolute necessity of life. I
Yes.
always believe that.
Yes.
But now I can say now that I'm married, because if I was single, so
Huh.
I'd like to tell all the single people, women especially out there, that if
Huh.
they're single, it's nothing so terrible to be so whatever about, even though sometimes they might be made to feel like, especially in a country like us.
Yes.
So long as they are very, very sure that it's going to add something to their life, only then they should get married.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not like a must do for
Yes.
everyone.
But
Having said that, I would say that, well, I think I'm having a lot more fun, and, I think there is a lot of more, there's a more balanced life. Like, some of the things that Mohsin has that I don't have, and vice versa. So we
acha.
are very kind of complementing to each other,
Yes.
and yet bringing on table things which we both didn't have as people. So personalities are sort of a way of looking at things, of whatever. So everything is a little more fun,
Yes.
when you have the right person in your life.
Huh.
So be
Yes.
it my political career
Yes.
or my other things,
Yes.
everything,
Yes.
I think it has gone to another level of,
Level.
yes,
Yes. I'll
of
come to that.
just
Yes. Yes.
fulfillment,
Yes.
and so that's where
Yes.
I would
Yes.
say
And
one is.
yeah. And for somebody who was a romantic icon also, what does love mean to you today? Cinema sells dreams, but in reality today, after marriage, what does love mean to you?
Mhm. I think companionship.
Hmm.
I think being able to, not necessarily like and love the same thing,
Huh.
but being able to look at the other person's perspective, appreciate it, and see that that way probably life becomes even better and more
Huh.
beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
There's something
Huh.
that
Huh.
one hasn't seen, and then one chooses to see that way, and then that brings in more joy.
Correct.
And yeah, and basically also it's not necessarily all the, I think the only difference in the real life concepts of love and real life is that
Hmm.
there every 2 minutes one breaks into a song, and here life should ideally become a song.
Very
That's the
well
best
said.
way of, of kind of settling in eventually with the person you love.
Very
So
well.
it doesn't, yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, very nice. How do you rate yourself as a wife? Are you
As
a
a wife,
as a wife? Are you a doting wife?
I think you should ask that to my husband, no?
Possessive wife? Okay.
No, I'm a very chilled out wife. I'm definitely yeah, I do believe I'm the same that I am in other relationship as a wife.
Huh. Huh.
I'm a natural giver. I like it's because I let in a very few people in my life. So the ones who are
Huh.
there, I never think twice about, and they are always there forever. Like you and I also have
Yes.
kind of connected so long ago. The
Thank
people,
you.
some of them that I have met in films, whether it is actors, filmmakers, journalists, the
Yes.
ones that I have clicked with and I have,
Mm-hmm.
had fond and positive thoughts of,
Yes.
they sort of continue, and it's sort of like I think the beauty about being a human being is only
Yes.
that we are given the choice of continuation, the good things, and taking it to another level, and to probably whatever, and dropping off not the good things
Yes.
and the negative parts, and
Correct.
still
Correct.
continuing. We
Yeah.
are in a position constantly to make that choice and constantly
Yes.
evolve and take ourselves to a better position.
Yes, true, true. And one thing I missed about rivalry, do you have any say how do you look at rivalry which you faced then? It must have disturbed you.
Honestly, I have never had any rivalry with any of the actresses I've worked with. Trust
Okay.
me or not.
हाँ
Like today, तो मुझे बिल्कुल भी कोई वजह नहीं है कि मैं कुछ बोलूं. Just
हाँ
sometimes, maybe offhandedly or knowingly, they said a few things about me, and then these journals would come running to me saying,
हाँ
"What is your reaction?" And I would genuinely say, "I have no reaction." You should
हम्म.
ask them why they've said it. I can't react to everything and anything, na.
Right,
So I
very
said I have
true.
no reaction, and I really didn't, because
Yes,
I feel each one of us, and honestly, I feel we were all. I mean, even if they said something on and off or whatever, whatever, I honestly think we still. I mean, today when I meet any one of them, I'm as happy to see them or as cool whenever it is anywhere, party or events or
yes,
whatever.
yes, yes.
And even then I was, and honestly, everybody was doing their own hard work, even if they
Hmm.
were daughters or whatevers or nieces of someone or someone of someone or the other.
Hmm.
Didn't mean they didn't work hard. I would never say that. I think it's a
Yeah,
very petty and cheap way of looking at it. I
correct.
think we all worked hard. So there was no question of. It's just that, and if they were given separate and special treatment, I
Hmm.
can hardly call it their fault. It's
Correct,
not their
correct.
fault per se. If the other people, the media was smitten by them because they were so and so or so and so, or the makers were giving them special whatevers,
Yes,
that
yes,
was not their fault. I'm not saying, I never have said, I think it's very petty to think that they didn't work hard. I would
yes,
say that
yes, yes, yes.
they worked as hard. So I really
Correct.
never had, and I think rivalry per se is a very, very cheap and very, what you call it, cheap नहीं क्या बोलते हैं उसको.
Um,
It's a very
Petty,
no petty भी नहीं. It's a very it
generic,
it's
very,
it takes out too much energy out of you. It's a
yes.
very stupid concept.
Correct, correct,
I mean,
correct.
you can just sit here and pull your hair, and there's nothing that is going to happen. This is
Yes.
again something that my father told me when I was a very, very young age, that,
Huh, huh.
that person is not going to get affected with whatever pulling your hair you're going to do. So it's better to just concentrate
Yes,
those same
yes,
energies on your
yes,
own self.
yes,
So
yes.
I have really, and I'm not trying to act like holier than thou, but I really don't remember sitting and thinking of anybody or anything like
Hmm,
that.
hmm, 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 hmm.
I really find it a very exhausting concept
Correct,
and
correct.
tiring and
Yes, yes,
futile.
yes,
Futile is the word I
yes,
was
yes.
looking for.
But if I'm not I don't want to put it, but this would mean like in a way you did face nepotism of some kind, na?
Oh yeah, yeah, tremendously, tremendously.
You
It's
did
just that
face.
I chose never to speak about it at that time,
Okay.
because at that time it would have been taken as, oh, sour grapes, or she just whatevering because
Huh.
naach na jane angan teda, like they say, or something
Huh.
like that. It would have been
Huh.
like
Huh.
that. But today I am in a position where I can laugh about it and talk about it. But of
Correct.
course,
Correct. Yeah.
nepotism, not only in film industry, in every part
Part.
of any country, most of the countries in our
Hmm.
country, a little far more so,
Yes.
whether it is politics, whether it is industries, whether it is media,
Yes.
it will be there. It is as in film industry, it is more blaringly obvious, because
Yes.
it's an industry which is so much in people's eyes.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it is as much there as sun, moon, and stars. It is.
So well said. Okay, Urmila, I noticed something nice about you in the last few years. You are living up to the phase. Do you feel getting into politics or getting even marriage in a way, it has liberated you in the sense you are more vocal. You speak your mind. There is a sense of confidence and self
I agree.
assurance in you. There
I
is a
agree. I do
yeah.
agree also that marriage also largely has been a part of it.
Huh.
Also, the part where I made a conscious decision of getting into politics. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, it has
And
liberated you, na, in a way.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I feel that then there is no looking back, because you need to stand up for the things that you speak about, and then
Yes.
you need to. Unfortunately, social media is a double-sided sword.
Yes.
So, and in fact, I got onto Twitter only after I came into politics. I
Huh.
got onto Instagram only after I got married, because my husband kept on telling me that so many, because I was not even on Facebook. Can you believe it?
Yes.
I just wasn't interested because the people I wanted to be in touch with, I very much was. And
Yes.
I didn't think I needed to be in touch with anybody and everybody. But
Huh.
things have changed today. So, therefore, a perspective needs to be put across. You need a social media.
Huh.
And, of course, both kind of repercussions come to you. And the path that I chose when I decided to come into politics again was a less traveled one, and I had offers in politics since 1999.
Acha.
But I never took it up and never thought I'd get into politics.
Huh.
But today I'm into it for a larger social reason than political one,
Huh.
because I look at politics more as a social from the social perspective
But
than a political perspective,
yes.
and I always will.
Yes.
I feel where our country is heading and head right now is standing and slowly heading is not the country that I will be very happy with. So
Hmm.
I would want to do something that I can do to make my own amends for it. So
Yes.
therefore,
Yes.
when you're speaking of all these things and you know what you're speaking, you know your history, geography well of your country, and you know the history and geography of your own mind,
Yes.
you need to then speak it out that way.
Hmm.
Secondly, I
Hmm.
never spoke when I was as much when I was in films also because a lot of times I know I'm going to sound very condescending, but trust me, I don't mean to be.
Huh.
But a lot of times I
Hmm.
wasn't interested because I could see the journalist already had made up his or her mind
Hmm.
and had come to do my interview. And
Hmm.
I knew what they thought of me or what they were going to write about me or they had already written about me. So why would I waste my time on such a person?
Yes.
So a large part of me I never spoke
Yes.
because I didn't think it was needed or it was relevant to what I was doing.
Huh.
And also the people who are writing, I mean, I need to feel that you are understanding me. Then I speak of
Yes.
certain things.
Yes. Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
I'm not interested.
And
So
talking.
that's why I didn't speak because I
Hmm.
didn't think that it was going to
So,
make sense from that perspective to the people I was speaking it to.
correct, correct, correct. Another interesting thing about you is, the way, I mean, you interact with common people. Like last a few days back, there was this picture of you and Mohsin at the Dargah, Mahin Dargah, and you look
Yeah.
lovely in a simple shalwar kameez. I mean, it takes a lot of strength. You're not trying hard to be in the news to make an impression. I like this the way you have blended yourself.
No,
More.
but that again
Hmm,
came with politics because I
uh,
feel a person who doesn't want to do all of that should not get into politics. And
yes,
again, like I said, because to me politics just doesn't mean the political orientation of it, the social,
yes, context.
repercussions and
Yes,
undercurrents and roots of it.
yes,
So then it also has to start with the downtrodden.
yes,
So for many, many years, since this is a birthday special, I have to mention,
yes,
I don't remember ever. You can ask the people who come to me in the film industry or otherwise. I've
yes,
never celebrated my birthday because since we were in second or third, ever since we started understanding things,
huh,
my parents used to give the some money or the other to some or the other social organization.
huh,
So, there is a leprosy center, there is many, many centers all over
yes,
Maharashtra.
yes,
Then there is a place called Institute called Rashtra Seva Dal.
huh,
Through them or whether other institutions, my
huh,
father used to give whatever we could afford at that time
yes,
to those people. So the
huh,
concept always was that there are more needy people than you all
yes,
and they need to be helped and thought of on your
yes,
birthday.
yes,
So even today, honestly, the thought of spending money on my birthday. I remember one year when, Manish was really this, and he said, no, you have to have a party and this and that, and we made even a list.
huh,
And then I just disappeared on
oh,
a couple of days. And I used to never be there, but I used to give money. And of course, since last few days,
huh,
I try and spend more time with the people, either orphans or old age homes or
mm-hmm.
whatever. So, there is so much to do in our
Yes,
country.
correct,
And I did it in my own ways of
huh,
sending money or
huh,
whatever. I don't know whether you know.
huh,
There were twice in last 3 years that I
hmm,
went to the flood-ridden areas of Maharashtra.
yes,
And once people thought I was going to stand for assembly elections, that's why I was going, which
yes,
I could have, without even going there, I could have still gotten an assembly election ticket.
correct,
Even when I contested the election into 2019,
hmm,
even though I lost, my best part was to be actually going and meeting up with those people
Yes.
who, who were in hutments, who were whatever, understanding their problems.
Huh.
And it just makes you so much grounded and so much, you're just so much more gratitude you have towards
Yes.
life. You're just
Yes.
grateful for everything you
Everything
have.
that you have.
And it makes you realize that there is just so much more that one can do than to just, so. And also,
Yes.
I think that's a process of evolution.
Evolution.
I think wherein a few years ago, I have also had Versace bags off the runway, literally on my arms, and the shoes off the runway on my feet. But that was a phase, and this is a
Yes.
phase,
Yes.
and I'm
Yes.
glad that that phase was lived up, and I'm glad this phase is,
Also,
being
yeah. Yes.
lived.
Yes. Yes.
Like they say in Gita, that everything has its own time and it's whatever, so it needs to be done at that time. So
Correct.
I'm just very, very glad that this slow but sure. So for me, the best part of being in politics to be able to connect to those people.
Yes.
And honestly, I would reach my epitome is not necessarily when I get this part or that part in politics,
Yes.
is when I can actually do something much, much more for those people.
Correct. Correct. And it must be it must be a nice feeling, not to worry about how you look or putting on that extra kilo and being more natural and normal and
That I
real.
always was, and I never worried. Anyway, after my marriage, I put on a couple of kgs.
No,
But
but it's
like
suiting
I
you.
said earlier,
Huh.
that and without makeup, so I have always been all my life without makeup everywhere and anywhere.
Yes.
My only, I mean, it is a really a great effort. In fact, my later movies also I'm hardly with any makeup.
Yes.
Makeup is not something that I love. I mean, I love to see it on women. I
Huh.
think some of them really carry it off well,
Yes.
but makeup is not my best.
Yes.
Never been. So
Yes.
I only kind of really put it where I need to.
Yes.
But that is not really the thing. I really think that I honestly, deep down, ever since my first film till date, that I am everything I am after God because of the people of this country.
Yes.
I
Yes.
have said it whenever and ever and ever that
Yeah.
I could say it, and I would say it till the last breath of my life. So if I can do something for them, how
Yes.
can I not? How can I resist that chance? So I will
Correct.
do it, and that is what I feel each time I'm in front of them or I'm doing something for them.
Yes. Yes.
It could just be, just speaking to them, just whatever. It's just it is actually genuinely stemming from that point of my heart,
Yes.
which is directly connected to the people of this country to whom I'm indebted for my life.
Yes.
Because if it were not for them, I would be nowhere.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Correct, correct. With politics also comes with its flip side. It gives you opportunities to serve. Again, there are unsavory remarks. Like if you want to say, Kangana just said that Urmila is only soft porn. Do you have
No, no,
anything
but
to say?
no, no, I have nothing to say. I didn't have it then. I didn't have anything to say because understand, anybody, and be it anybody, not only, I'm not talking about one particular person, so
Yes,
please specify that.
yes.
I am generally saying whatever it is that you're speaking of other people,
Huh.
it also reflects your own personality and the depth of your mind and soul. It's not just about the other person.
Correct, correct.
So that's why right from the beginning in films till now, I have nothing to say about to anybody. And a
Yes.
lot of them also look at my entry into politics as just another opportunistic this, which I
Hmm.
can't blame them because there have been actors, there are right now also
Hmm.
actors
Hmm.
who are trying to get into politics for other reason than what I just spoke about. And
Correct.
each to their own. But I think then also in films, time was the best answer. Now also your time and your actions are going to be the best
Best answer.
reply to these people.
Correct,
Like
correct.
my actions were the best reply to my critics, and here also it already has been to a large extent. So even though I lost my first election, I think I proved my point that I am not here, to
Huh.
do time pass, to whatever, to anything. And
Yes,
even today, I feel it's a great responsibility because I feel you're dealing with people's minds and emotions. You can't be random with your speech and your words and
correct.
whatever it is. However strongly I might feel about a lot of things, I need to be, and that I would say to each and every person, whatever their mindsets are, whatever their
Yes,
ideologies are, or their this is, that that it's a very, very, very difficult time our country is going through. It's a little
Correct.
not difficult, I wouldn't say. It's a very fragile and important phase that our country is in right now. So we
Right.
all need to be careful of each other's feelings, sentiments, and then do our job, with equal
Absolutely. Yeah.
strength.
Yes. Yes. So, two ही questions. Any regrets do you have in life?
I'm not a regret kind of a person. I feel everything comes with its own goods and bads, or it's literally everything.
Yes.
Like they say, when the watch we just stopped working shows right time twice in a day. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't have any
No
regrets.
regrets. Any
No.
unfulfilled dreams?
Oh, unfulfilled dreams. Oh, there are many Indian wishes for horses. I would have loved to be a leading lady opposite Amit Ji, opposite Shah Rukh Khan,
Very
opposite
nice.
Dilip Kumar Sahab.
Yes.
I would have loved to go and watch Dilip Kumar Sahab and Madhubala shooting a film, filming a
Yes.
romantic scene.
Yes.
I mean, they're not really unfulfilled, whatever. So
But
unfulfilled,
एक ख्वाहिश. हाँ.
no, no, not really unfulfilled anything. Actually, God has been too kind.
Yes.
So I have pretty much managed to do it all.
Yes. And do you fear aging?
No, I don't. In fact, I think it's just reflecting in everything that I'm doing.
Yes.
I think the whole word aging is just misunderstood mostly.
Yes.
I feel, it is so very beautiful because how can I be what I am about 20 years ago? What I would have
Mm-hmm.
looked at that time would have been great.
Yes.
I think also about the looks, I feel the same. I feel everything and anything that happens with it all kind of reflects the life that you've had. So I think only people who have not had a fulfilling life would fear aging.
True.
Not the ones who are busy making the most of every single moment
Very true.
that God has given to them in every single aspect that they can.
True, true, true. And on this note only, what is the finest thing maybe Mohsin has told you, your husband? Something which sums up the special person you are, if you would
Oh
like
my
to share.
God. That also I
Something,
think would have.
something, something very क्या बोलें, spontaneous. Something he told you, which you remember and you cherish.
I think I would think that he has always found it fascinating to have to see this side of me, to not take myself so seriously as
Yes,
a star or as a
yes,
whatever. So he has always found that very, very fascinating,
yes.
and he still does.
Yeah,
Like even unknown to me myself, I have never taken the curriculum part of it ever seriously with anybody, and I think he finds it very fascinating, just like you said,
yes,
my immediate ability to merge with people, the kind of
yes,
people, whether it
yes.
is a boardroom meeting and a whatever. I
Huh.
mean, and one day suddenly I was on hardcore political channels giving interviews on hardcore political
Yes, yes,
issues. And
yes,
one day I was in the middle of poorest to poor people who had lost their houses overnight
yes,
and standing there and supporting them. I think it is that is what he finds
yes,
incredibly
yes, yes, yes,
fascinating.
yes. The real woman is always more attractive. Always. Somebody who
I
stays
think I'm
rooted and
glad
real.
that I'm glad that most of the people, including Mohsin above all, I have in my life are the ones who have cherished and admired me for the real person that I am than the
Yes,
real person that I have
correct,
been.
correct, correct.
Though I'm equally proud of both.
Yes, I know. And if one last question, if it is not personal, are you looking forward to motherhood?
Yes and no. I mean, again, like I say, that I know there is going to be this and that kind of all weird kind of remarks, but I would say that it is not necessary for every woman to become a mother.
Yes,
And motherhood, if it happens, it should happen again for the right reasons. And if it happens, it happens. I'm not really kind of looking forward to it or not looking forward to it. Yes, I mean, I love children,
huh,
but there are so many children out there that also need equal amount of love,
correct,
sympathy, care.
correct.
So it's not necessary that one should be born by you to have that for them.
Very true, very true. Yeah, and it's a very candid and a very honest answer. Anything
Yeah, but
else?
I'm
Yes.
telling you because a
Hmm.
lot of women also, again, like I said, it's time for us to uplift ourselves as a society,
Yes.
and that should start with the smallest and simplest things of life and going into bigger issues that we have politically facing in the country today. Na? कहीं से
Correct.
तो शुरुआत करनी पड़ेगी और
Of
किसी को
course,
तो करनी
of
पड़ेगी.
course, of course. Anything else would you like to say which I have not touched upon? This
I
is
think
the
pretty much everything. I
yes.
just want to say that I am just, like I said, somebody who couldn't have been happier and more grateful to God and to people of this country and everyone in my life for the
Mm.
kind of life I've managed to live.
Yes.
And I would just tell everybody that don't think this and that. Just don't. I would like to tell even the women that don't let anyone and anything put boundaries on yourself, on
Very
your
true.
mind, and on your anything, because
Correct.
it is you who need to decide where you want to go and how you want to deal with things, not anybody
Absolutely.
else telling you anything. So don't let anyone stop you.
Correct.
So, and no, don't let any fears or any, insecurities uh,
Yes.
pin you
Overwhelming.
down.
Yes.
If I can stand against all of them and still be standing and speaking about it all
Yes. Yes.
in a glorious manner, I think
Yes.
so can anybody else. That's
Yes.
all.
Yes. Yes. Just one line on Pinjar. It's my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, when he came to me for the film, I did it only for one reason, because I thought what she was trying to, apart from the partition and apart from the Hindu Muslim angle, I did it like I put this quote on some Women's Day or something, that I don't know how much. I hope and pray that the conditions for women has changed, but
Yes.
this whole constant need for proving themselves, from trying to say that I'm this, I'm that. That's what I was just saying about. So I'm glad
Huh.
that it made such tremendous impact, and
Yes.
also the fact that he casted with someone like me with such a strong image and a strong actor,
Huh.
as in terms of, I was not someone who. I would say that I always did this strong roles, but
Hmm.
here was a girl who was not even strong, who didn't even know nothing,
Yes.
and then the whole journey was just so
Yes.
endearing to play.
Yes.
It was just so very endearing to go through those little moments of life. But
Yes.
what touched me was in 2000 also.
Yes.
Some of the women might be finding similar problems in their society, in their houses,
Correct.
in their
Correct.
relatives. So I was actually trying to connect to that part of being a woman
Yes.
and trying to pay homage to that. So hats off to Amrita Preetham for writing that, and for Chandra Prakash Dwivedi for thinking of casting me.
Asking. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So I think, yes, it will always remain, forever remain one of the very, very special films in my
Then,
life.
yes. True. True, Urmila. Yes. Thank you so much, Urmila.
Thank you, my
No,
dearest. Take
thank you.
care. Lovely
And yes,
talking to you.
same
Take
here.
care.
And God bless
Thanks.
you.